In a video earlier this week, I did this Johnny Lightning swing shot in red Metalcast paint. I chose the gold casting at the right for that build. This time around, this is the one we're choosing, the one on the left. It has a broken engine. It has some stickers on it. There you see part of the engine is broken off of one of the engines. The other engine is actually in good shape. And I do use that, as you'll see later. I use both of those engines, but you'll see what I do with it. But I knew I wanted to try something different with this other one. And that build, the earlier one that you saw, and you may have seen the video for that already as well, was for the Diecast International Builders Invitational. And it was a red build. And so the Metalcast paint, I had to polish up the body for that. This one, you see the stickers on the body and stuff? And you'll see me pry the engines out of here in a second. But there were stickers on the body of this one. And what I didn't realize until I stripped it was that they were hiding damage to the casting. So the fact that that damage needed to be repaired, I needed to putty it, prevented me from using this particular casting for the Metalcast paint. But this time I wanted to try a different paint too. So there you see when I first put the putty on it. It's stripped down at this point and polished up a little. And then I put the putty on it. And here I drill it and tap it like, yeah, I always do. And this has really tiny posts. These are like tiny posts, like the early Hot Wheels that need the 172 screws on them. So the putty, at this point, because I had also done a lot of stuff to it, this putty was really well cured at this point. Sand virtually all of the putty off. And there you see me sanding the sides as well. I even puttied on the sides because the metal on this one wasn't all that great. It needed some smoothing. It had some glitches to it. And there you see I sanded away almost all of the putty. But it did need something to fill in those little tiny nooks and crannies. But got that taken care of. And there's a paint I've been wanting to use. Ron over at Somo Diecast has used this color shot paint and done some beautiful builds with it. And I've been meaning to try it, and I just never got around to it. So this time I used the primer, stiletto red, and clear sealer, all from Color Shot. And there you see how it turned out. The paint's fantastic. I'm thrilled that I saw it on Ron's channel and really appreciate all the times that he showed it and used it. And I don't know why it took me so long to try it. It always turns out fantastic for him. So I'm glad I finally got around to it. And the funny thing is I got it from Walmart. And if you're a Walmart Plus member, they even deliver it to the door for free. So you can't beat that. Brings lazy to an all new level. The decals that I'm using, this is an extra set I had from an earlier Redline restoration. These are second chance Redline decals. Obviously they're not designed for this Johnny Lightning, but I thought they'd look good on here. And they're extras. So I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. I thought they'd really almost exaggerate the look of this casting because it's not an elaborate, detailed casting by any stretch of the imagination. It's Jody Sims in the previous video of the other swing shot compared it to a disposable razor. And that's a really apt description, except these days a lot of the disposable razors have a lot more detail than this thing has. If you think back to like the original Bic super plain disposable razors, I did a little checking. Those didn't come out until like 1974. And this casting came out in 1970. So who knows? Maybe this casting inspired somebody designing a razor. Yeah, Who knows? Anyhow, like the other build, I got out the Johnny Lightning wheel kits that I found. And did the same thing. Took an axle tube. I didn't show this part of it in the other video, but just cut a real small little piece off an axle tube. I throw an axle in the tube before I start to cut it like that, so I don't smash it. And there you see the little tiny piece that I use to put over the end of the axle to keep it in place. And I end up gluing it in place when I put it on the casting. Did have to drill out, like on the other build, the hole where the axles came out, because the axles on the original Johnny Lightning are slightly thinner than the axles on these wheel sets. But no problem, just a very slight increase in the size. Works wonderfully, and then you just slide basically that axle into that opening. It saves you from doing axle tubes. Honestly, it couldn't go really much easier. So there you see it. I take the axle, pop it through, put the wheel back on, and the chrome caps. And I suggest you look at the other video as well if you have any questions about this, because I show a little more detail in the other video. The hardest part is basically getting that little tiny sliver onto the tube. I ended up using those needle nose pliers that you see at the bottom there. I've had those spring-loaded needle nose pliers forever. I think since I was in high school. Slid it on there using those, and then I just put a touch of CA glue on there to keep it in place. Again, works wonderfully. Did the same for the front axle once I get them all in place. Here you actually get to see me. I'm not going to show it because it's really twitchy when you go to do it, and when you're old like me. But once that's on there, then you pop the caps on. Then I got this out, reusable clay, the Oyumaru clay, to make a casting of the good engine. Just the front, because all I need is a portion of it. I just need that intake area on the one side. So once I created the mold, I filled this. This is with the Bondic resin pin. I thought about a lot of different ways of doing this, and I thought, I'm just going the resin pin because it's a very small thing. It's not super fancy. I'd add some resin, cure it, added a little bit more resin, cured it, kept doing that. And I ended up with the piece I wanted, roughly. And then I, filed it into shape. I cure it a little bit more here with the UV light, just to be sure. But then after I file it into the perfect size to fit the engine, I end up using CA glue to glue it on there. And here's a closer look at that piece. Whoa, let's get really close. There you go. The back of it isn't perfect because of how I did the mold, but I'm fine with it. It ends up looking a lot better than it did without the piece. So there you see it after it's glued on. And I do end up hitting the engines with the aluminum chrome paint that I've used so many times. Oh, gauzy, gauzy, gauzy. Yeah, I wasn't going to use it on this build. I didn't use it on the other slingshot. And I'm not sure what possessed me to end up using it on this one, other than the fact that there was a little tiny chip off the base of the windshield. Nothing you see, just in kind of the support for it. I CA glued that back on. And I thought, if I gauzy it, it's just going to make it even stronger. So why not? And I had to be careful to get all the gauzy out of the inside of the glass too, because it's such an odd shape. It's not your typical kind of glass on one of these castings. Hot Wheels glass isn't anything like this. But it does end up looking better. It gives it a really nice shine. Even though I polished it up before, I probably should have gauzied the other one. There's just something about the gauzy coat that, once it's on there, maybe part of it's in my mind, I just think it looks so much better. And you just can't beat gauzy. So, you have to wick off the excess. And this thing held a lot of excess. It was just by the design of it, I had to make sure that I got all of it off before I covered it here, just to make sure dust and stuff didn't get on it. Now, I screwed up recording this stuff, and I missed the part where I slid the engines onto the body. I thought I was recording, and then this part, actually, I thought I had turned it off, and I realized, oh wait, I screwed up. So I realized my mistake. Here at least you get to see the rest of it being put together. I did polish up the base. I didn't mention that earlier. Polished it up with flits. Got it looking pretty darn good, if you ask me. The metal on this base was better than the metal on the other base that I did in the previous build. And then it's just a matter of throwing the 172 screws in there. The front and back post. I also did throw a clear coat over the base, in case you're curious. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. And, if I'm completely honest about it, I think I like this one better than the Metalcast red one. And that's a lot for me to say because I love Metalcast red. But I'm really happy with this color shot paint. Thanks again, Ron, for recommending it in your videos. And it rolls like mad. So there you see again, there's the casting that is used for this build, the one that's kind of wedged in the middle. There's the portion of the engine that's gone. And here's how it ended up. I think it looks sharp. I'm really happy with the decal. I think the decal really makes this. I almost put side decals on it, and I thought it would just detract from the look. I laid some on there just to see what it looked like, and it just wasn't looking the way I wanted. So there you have it. I hope you like this build. I hope you don't mind 2 slingshot build videos in a row. This one had a few little different things to it. There's some glamour shots. Everybody, thanks for watching these videos. I'm having a blast doing them. And I hope you enjoy watching them. Everybody stay safe and healthy out there. And keep building. Build along with me, everybody. Get a little Hot Wheels car or something and do something to it. Again, stay safe and healthy out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.